Good morning, everyone. Today is May the 7th, and this is the Futures in 5 charts. Going to try to be very swift about what we are looking at today. Markets are sideways, but our metastock system has triggered a swing short. Now, here's the thing we have to look at. We have to think about this in a very big picture space and realize that this moving average tells us that essentially we are still in an upward trending market that is now not moving with as much power. What our system has said is as it comes into 29.35 all the way up to 29.49, it is a short action event. Engagement below there puts you in the risk of a bounce pattern getting in a way or exposes you to more risk than you need to be exposed to. So here is what the chart is doing. It's telling us there is weakness for buying pressure to the upside. It's also telling us, hey, we still have buyers holding the dip, and we see the buy the dip, add whatever expletives you want to put in there. We see it everywhere. So technicians are going to continue to buy this dip until this form continues to hold high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, break of significant support zone, and then a bounce up into another lower high. That's going to move buyers completely out of the way in general as it tries to work through this nasty patch of motion to the south. All right, so what are we looking at right now? The system says, hey, engage up here. That was the first engagement yesterday. Now it's moving into the support zone. This is a very big region of support between 29.13, 29.02. There it is, sitting right there, trying to hold the edge. If it fails this edge, you've got intraday short action into bottom line support. Why are folks nervous? It's the trade deal, right? Big Voice came out and said, hey, we're going to slap some more tariffs on you. Listen, we know China is not really playing this game to actually have this occur. They're just trying to kick the can. And so there's a little problem with the administration wanting them to kick the can. So this is what we've got. We're still holding, though. Buyers come in at the deep dips, and that's going to work until it doesn't. And so you just have to be prepared for that. Here with the NQ, it's been a little messier, right? This is more of a topping formation. And if you like to use a MACD, you can see all the strength drifting out of the chart. Whenever you have a topping formation with a MACD that fades like this, you know it's not an awesome idea to hold the highs, right? You want to play and then get out. Sometimes it runs up and it leaves you in the dust, but I would much rather take my profit and leave the game rather than being forced out of the game because somebody took my ball. So there we have it. This is what's happening here. This is holding as a support zone. We're going to have to watch this edge right below 77.30 intraday today. We're going to have a few problems. Support action still coming in to hold. That's a big deal. But in the end, watch the drift of motion coming into deeper support zones. What are my favorite support zones? Listen, old resistance that becomes new support, that tests higher, that comes back and holds new support is going to bounce. And that's what this is. If we lose the 76.61 area, we're going to have a little bit of a problem with a fade, but it is what it is, right? Markets don't go straight up. We'd love for them to, but they don't. For those of us that enjoy playing the short side because of the speed at which you can get in and get out, that's a nice thing. Here, what we're looking for is if we hold above this line, again, resistance, support, new highs, and the tests of those regions tell us that buyers are in the midst of all of this motion, ready to hold it. If we bounce up, it should be a short, right? This is a broad wedge. Things could be messy, but we'll see. All right, for the YM, same sort of thing, right? Much more engaged. Again, take a look, right? The goal is, for me as a trader, I like sharing my open quotations secrets, close quotations, because in the end, here's something very interesting. In the end, everybody who's worth their salt from a technician perspective sees all the same things. It's not about what you see, it's about what you do with what you see and how you manage the pieces that you don't see until they're there. And that is what takes years and years of training as a trader, to be very honest. It is what it is. right? So there are no gimmicks about how to make whatever, or at least I don't think they are. Everything is very measured and very, very important to look at holistically. I know some of us hate that word, but it is looking at things from a broad picture perspective. Take a look at this. It flies right through that old resistance that becomes support that doesn't come back to test, really. Goes higher and then moves down. Take a look at this. We are underneath this line, and that's got a lot more negative pressure. My suspicion is any big bounces up here are going to be shorts. We've got transports showing trouble. We've got materials showing trouble. And so we're going to slow a bit. Nothing wrong with that. We speed up, we slow down. It is how it is. Nothing runs at a constant speed. Here's oil. Oil is being very frenetic right now. A lot of people thinking, hey, Iran sanctions going to do something. People are thinking the Saudis are going to do whatever, right? Everybody's got an idea. My thought was, and I put this in the blog for I don't even know how many weeks, when we were all the way up here, I said, hey, listen, we're coming back to 60. Why? Old resistance that becomes support, that makes a higher high, comes back and it tests that level. Now, my suspicion is that we probably are going to head here in this edge. Now, how that's going to unfurl is any guess. But what am I doing? Hey, I'm underneath a major moving average. I have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. Excuse me, a lower high, a lower low, a higher high. So I'm going to watch for noise in this area, but if it comes up anywhere into this zone, I'm going to look for weakness intraday. I'm going to take the trade short. And that's what's going to happen. If this chart sits and holds this area, 60 again, we won't really have to worry about anything. Otherwise, we head back to this zone right down here, which is fairly wide. All right? Doesn't really mesh with the storyboard going on with oil, but it certainly is what I am seeing technically. And so we'll see what happens. This guy, train wreck, I've been very, very bullish on gold until it really spiked out. Then it faded, came right down into these nasty levels of support. Might hold them. It might hold them. Now, why am I saying might? Well, when a chart breaks its trend by time, moving sideways, holding its highs and lows, rather than by price, right? Meaning it hasn't broken down, it has a tendency to return in the direction of trend. If it does that, it's going to be a pretty nasty patch, right? There's much further for this chart to fade. Here's why I think it might not do that at the current timeline. All of this underside pressure that's pointing up says that on my pullbacks, I'm likely to bounce. But where I'm going to bounce to is this big line, 1290. That divides the buyers and the sellers. We stay under here, we're likely to fade in every single bounce. We get above here, different story. A lot more buyers up above here. You might say, hey, I want to wait until I'm there. Well, why not try to do it at support? If you do it at support, you can run it a lot further to the north with a lot less anxiety. That's my suspicion. Anyway, you can see these candlestick motions for the most part. We got a lot more buyers trying to pick up these edges rather than sellers. And so I suspect for the time being, what we're doing is pulling into support and heading into resistance. I know this was a long one, but I'm back. Good luck trading today.